This just shook the entire MMA world. Joe Rogan and the entire community are going off because it's official. Tom Aspinall is finally back.
All right, now, UFC 321, October 25th, Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall will face Ciryl Gane. Aspinall has 15 wins, and all of them are by finish. Gane is the #1 ranked heavyweight. You can go to tickets go on sale this Friday.
I had heard a rumor that Jon Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. And I did hear that rumor. And I did hear that the UFC said yes, but it is not true. So Dana contacted me and said that rumor's bullshit. So I felt obligated to tell everybody that was a fake rumor.
What do you think the amount is that Jon Jones would fight him for, or do you think it's an amount?
Well, apparently Jon is thinking about retiring.
Yeah.
And he should. I mean, he's going to have to someday. He should. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm saying he should think about it. Give the man all the time he wants. He can fight whenever he wants to fight. That's Jon Jones. He's the GOAT. So leave him alone. If he decides one day to come back, and he comes back and he wants to fight Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight title, the question is, like, how long are you allowed to hold on to the title before they start having that conversation? Now, he just knocked out Stipe Miocic, so give the man months. Give the man 5 or 6 months. Just leave him the fuck alone. But at a certain point in time, you have to decide who the heavyweight champion is. And if Tom is the interim heavyweight champion and Jon decides he doesn't want to fight anymore, he could do that. And he could do that also and then come back in a year and fight for the title. He could do that. Like, He could do whatever he wants.
It is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the pride of Wigan, the one and only Tommy Aspinall. Tommy Aspinall, na 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 na. Tommy Aspinall, Tommy, defending his undisputed gold, technically for the very first time against the pride of France, the French prince himself, Bon Gamin himself, the one and only Ciryl Gane. These two have been going back and forth for the better part of 2, maybe 3 years. Well, this was the fight that we all thought was going to happen in Tom's official first title defense, and so it is in fact going to happen. Tom wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. That was the sense that we got when he became undisputed champion. He didn't want to wait for New York. Let's be honest, the tax is a little better over there in Abu Dhabi compared to New York for an Englishman, for anyone, if we're being 100% honest. And so he wanted to be active. He wanted to fight in October. He wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. It's closer to home, and so they oblige. And you'll recall a few weeks ago I said, it's looking like Magomed and Alex, October 4th. It's looking like Tom versus Ciryl, October 25th. And it's looking like JDM versus Islam in New York. That would be the next pay-per-view. Now, that hasn't been officially announced. That hasn't been signed, sealed, and delivered. But at this point, I would be surprised, considering how the chips just fell earlier today. I would be surprised if it doesn't play out that way.
Which is Tom Aspinall fights Pavlich. And takes that fight on 2 weeks' notice and becomes the interim champion and fucks his back up and can't train at all. But Aspinall, like, that guy's, he's something special. He really is something special. He's a very unusual example because he's a heavyweight and he's a big guy, a really big guy, but he moves so fast. Mm-hmm. And his coach, Colin, I forget, it's from Cabal, this gym that he trains at in the UK, Colin Huron. He trained Darren Till. Colin, from the early days of the career, was like emphasizing his speed. And so his speed has always been like extraordinary compared to other heavyweights. Like, he just fucking moves in. It's all like fast, explosive movements. So he's got natural speed, but then he's also got a lot of training to execute quickly. So when he moves in, he closes the gap. You can see, like, fuck, he's fast. For a big guy.
Right.
After nearly a year of painful waiting, endless silence, and frustrating delays, the UFC heavyweight division finally has a pulse again. The interim champ Tom Aspinall is back, and his next battle is now official. The news just dropped and fans across the world are erupting with excitement. He's set to face Ciryl Gane this October in Abu Dhabi, and the anticipation is already breaking the ceiling for those who have followed Aspinall's journey. This moment feels massive, and for Joe Rogan, who's praised Tom's skill set on countless occasions, this could be the fight that defines the new era of heavyweight chaos. Rogan believes that Tom is a complete and dangerous heavyweight, and facing someone like Gane might just be the perfect opportunity to prove it to the world.
Who's next big heavyweight star?
Tom Aspinall, the guy who
Of
just
course, who
won
just
the
won.
interim title. He's phenomenal, and he is again the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport.
How so?
Well, because he can do everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster.
It's just horrible. It's horrible to see him just sort of waltz his way back into another title shot off of a robbery. However, this was always the fight that was going to happen. And I don't think there was any, like, conversations otherwise. So in my opinion, this should have been announced when they announced Jon Jones' retirement. And they should have done that not at a UFC Fight Night post-fight press conference in a one-sentence moment from Dana White. They should have had a moment where they set up a press conference between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane, and then announced the retirement of Jon Jones, and then announced this fight at the same time. It just feels weird to wait for them to do it now, rather than when they... We all knew this was the next fight to happen, okay? But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm nervous, okay? I'm extremely nervous for this fight. I feel like I haven't made a video like this in the whole year. I can't remember the last time I made a video reacting to big fights being announced. They're so few and far between, or it's just one big fight and nothing else. I feel like I used to make these videos back in the day every few months. We would get a bunch of big fight announcements. And now here I am doing it again. So maybe the UFC is really back. But Aspinall versus Gane, scary matchup. I think Aspinall's going to win by KO in the first round. If Taito Ivasa can ever drop you on your ass in an MMA fight after you've beaten him up for the whole first round, if he can find a way to find your chin in that second round and drop you at any point in your career, I think Aspinall will find it in the first round.
Because let's be honest, Tom Aspinall is not just a good fighter, he's a straight-up problem in the division. He brings explosive power, lightning fast speed, and ice-cold composure. Even in the most intense moments, he's calm, deadly, and calculated. He's not just another contender, he might be the most well-rounded heavyweight we've seen in years, and after going through injury setbacks, political drama, and being stuck in championship limbo, he's finally ready to remind the world exactly who he is and why. Many believe he's already the uncrowned king of the UFC heavyweight division.
When you look at the UFC heavyweight rankings, as I say, Tom has beat most of them, and he's beat them in style, and he's knocked them all out. Curtis Blades, Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, whoever they are, he's beaten them all up. But Ciryl Gane is a little bit different. Now, of course, Jon Jones beat Ciryl Gane in quick fashion, took him down in the first round, submitted him with a front choke. But Ciryl Gane is the same as Tom Aspinall in terms of athletic ability. When I say that Tom Aspinall is a heavyweight George St. Pierre, that kind of goes to Ciryl Gane as well. The man's gigantic, he's very quick, he's agile, he's light on his feet, he could run any sport on the planet, and he's almost like George St. Pierre and Tom Aspinall in the fact that he's got all those athletic attributes and qualities, but he doesn't have the grappling. That's what cost him against Jon Jones, and that's probably what's going to cost him against Tom Aspinall. You never know, he could clip him. This is a dangerous fight, this is heavyweight MMA, but Tom Aspinall can grapple. We've seen him take people down. He's done jiu-jitsu since he was about 15 years old. His dad is going to be on his case, and that's an absolute fact, saying, hey, you're not messing with this guy. Take him down, show him what you can do, show the world your grappling capability. Remember, Ciryl Gane turned Francis Ngannou into a wrestler, okay? So he's a very, very credible threat on the feet. But of course, I do fancy Tom Aspinall to get the job done. The fact that he isn't fighting Jon Jones is insane, but we've talked about that till the cows come home, so I'm not going to bore you on that subject anymore. But just you wait. Jon Jones is probably going to pop up on Twitter. If he doesn't beat Ciryl Gane as fast as what Jon did, guaranteed we're going to get some tweets.
Hey, see, are you still there?
And I do think we'll see a first round Tom Aspinall KO. I'm nervous though, man. You know, if Ciryl Gane wins, my life will crumble before my very eyes. You understand this, right? We can't have Ciryl Gane win. There's gonna be a conglomerate of MMA fans that are suspiciously pro Gane here for no reason whatsoever. Okay? Now these may be considered former Jon Jones fans that now have nowhere to go because Jones retired, that will now pretend to be Ciryl Gane fans and pretend to want Ciryl Gane to win for the good of the sport. I just think he's way better. Tom Aspinall's the correct prediction. It is a very risky matchup. Ciryl Gane is very, very technical. Ciryl Gane is harder to hit than any former opponent of Tom Aspinall. I just think his grappling is a weakness, and he'll be thinking about that in a fight with Tom. And while you're thinking about that, you've also got to think about being knocked out with any punch you get hit with. So it's just a lot for Gane to worry about, and we know that Gane typically does shit the bed in big moments. But I'm really looking forward to this. But if Gane wins, I'll terminate the channel. If Ciryl Gane defeats Tom Aspinall and exposes him and fraud checks him and TKOs him and schools him, and then I have to sit through Jon Jones tweeting about it, the channel's done, okay? You guys know this. Tom Aspinall's career, my channel's life force, is directly correlated to the trajectory of Tom Aspinall's career. I want you guys, after all the work I've done over the past few years here, okay? Don't think that didn't come at a cost, okay? I now need Tom Aspinall to win in order to live in a happy universe for myself. I don't want to look back in 50 years, if I make it that long, and look back at this time and think, oh, I remember when Tom Aspinall got beaten by Ciryl Gane and Jones had the last laugh. No! Never will I allow this! Tom Aspinall must beat Ciryl Gane. This is a huge fight for that pay-per-view card. I don't actually know if it's the main event. If it's not the main event, then it will be Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena on this card, but it seems a little bit soon to be announcing Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev, so I think that's going to be announced for November, which means the October pay-per-view. We're going to have to get creative with some of the matchups on this card, and I think there can be some really good ones.
But let's rewind. This isn't just about a big fight getting announced. This is about everything it took to get to this point. For nearly a year, the heavyweight division was paralyzed, stuck in the shadow of Jon Jones and his uncertainty. Tom Aspinall stepped up when the UFC needed a savior. He took on Sergey Pavlovich, one of the most feared knockout artists, on short notice, and made it look easy in front of a sold-out Madison Square Garden crowd. He captured the interim belt, and then suddenly, everything went quiet. No news, no updates, just Jon Jones posting from Thailand, disappearing from media, recovering from injury, and playing games with retirement and return plans. The entire division was left confused and stagnant with no clear path forward.
I like the idea of Alex. Alex is booked against Ankalaev. They're going to headline in October. Okay, great. So now you got Jon off the board, you got Alex off the board. You start to see where you don't really have a choice. You gotta go with Ciryl, who is extremely problematic. If he beats Tom, Jon Jones is the champion of the world. If he beats Tom and Jon Jones is back, you now gotta make Jon Jones versus Ciryl, which was very arguably the worst title fight in history, and for sure was the worst heavyweight title fight in history. It for sure was the worst title fight in the last 10 years. But it likely wins the booby prize all the way back in time. I mean, you see where I would say that Ciryl is a knee-jerk reaction? You bring in the fact that Ciryl skipped a fight because he decided he wanted to go do a movie, which, by the way, was never good enough to even get in the theaters. No offense, but what are you thinking there? You couple that with the fact that Ciryl lost his last fight to Volkov. He won a decision, but he lost the fight. I mean, there is no reason why you would go with Ciryl. Now, I don't say this to bury Ciryl. Ciryl's a complete stud. He's handsome and he's a nice guy. I feel like people like him. I'm just saying right. You'd have a hard time putting me in there with Tom, and I'm the linear champion. I'm the one that put Jon's foot on backwards so he can't train for it in the first place. But you'd have a hard time bringing me from the set of The Ultimate Fighter into a linear world title fight, even though logically it makes perfect sense. Do you see where this... So if you have it, but how are you going to get somebody in front of him? Stipe retired, Volkov's already had the fight, Curtis Blades just got in there. I mean, who are you going to put in front of him? Almeida can't draw. I like the idea of Almeida. I think Almeida's got a real good career in front of him. You can't take Almeida to a main event. You can't take him to a world title fight. You can't take him to Madison Square Garden, right? It's like baseball. 3 strikes and you're out. So who are you going to turn to? And you would need a little hook or crook. I'm only suggesting for you with recency bias and based on what we just saw and the landscape of the heavyweight division.
My feelings towards him, I just wish him all the best. Genuinely wish him all the best. If he feels satisfied with what he's done, which he's saying he is, and he's happy to leave like that, then I genuinely wish him all the best.
Talking of next fights, what's going on?
I've got a fight coming up soon, so I can't say anything else other than that. There are a lot of politics involved, unfortunately, but that is the nature of elite sports. That's what happens. Not something that I've experienced too much of, to be honest, up until the last 10 months of my life. I really believe it's going to come good in the end and everything's going to work out for the best.
Any indication how long until we're going to hear something from you?
The next couple of weeks.
I know it's scary. Let me tell you why. And this is why.
He's fucking good. Let's start there.
He's very good.
Yeah.
And he's big and he's explosive and he's young.
Yep.
Somebody showed me that counterpunch thing the other day with me and Jon Jones. And Jon told me, he goes, "You're only getting older. You're 37 years old. I will only see when I stand there, I'll see a 38-year-old man.
Yep.
I'm barely entering my prime."
Yep.
That's
opposite.
the flip.
Than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem because he's a heavyweight and he's a big guy, a really big guy, but he moves so fast. And so his speed has always been like extraordinary compared to other heavyweights. Like he just fucking moves in. It's all like fast, explosive movements. So he's got natural speed, but then he's also got a lot of training to execute quickly. So when he moves in, he closes the gap. You can see like he's fast for a big guy.
Right. I want to see it so bad.
Jon was shitting all over Aspinall. Saying that
I think that's
lucky,
a bad way to go.
He was lucky that he blew his knee out with Curtis Blades because Curtis was teeing off
Doing
on him.
well.
Unless Jon avoided him, unless Jon used his wrestling to avoid exchanges, you know what that's all about.
And through all that Tom waited, he trained, he stayed focused, hoping the UFC would sort things out, but they didn't. Instead, he was left in the dark. Then out of nowhere, when the UFC began planning a blockbuster fight card at the White House backed by Donald Trump, the conversation changed. Suddenly Jon Jones reappeared, acting ready to fight again, and fans saw through it. Jones only wanted to show up when the spotlight was brightest, not when it mattered. Most Dana White wasn't buying it after all the delays, title freeze, and Miocic collapse. Dana had enough word as he told people close to him he's done depending on Jon Jones for anything that major. Too much drama, too much risk. And just like that, Jones was pulled from the White House card. The UFC moved on and the future started to take shape again.
Exactly how bothered he was. Because Jon Jones, like, you know, even though he thinks he's smart, he's a child, right? And he doesn't realize in all of that coping, we can read him like a fucking book. And all he's done is kind of promoted Tom Aspinall for an entire year in this tour that he's gone on, in showing you're scared of him, mate, and we fucking know you are. Because actions speak louder than words. And Jon Jones has moaned his entire career about fighter pay. He named his price. Dana White gave him it and said, yeah, no problem. And he still turned down the fight. This is a man motivated by money. He never shuts up about it. You get your biggest payday ever, and you still haven't got the balls to step a toe in that fucking cage with him. I know a lot of Jon Jones fans, you know, will be hating and all of that, and, you know, he doesn't need the fight, whatever. His heavyweight legacy has been the worst of any heavyweight we've ever seen as a champion. You know deep down, your boy bottled it. And anyone who's deluding themselves into thinking otherwise, you gotta grow up, man. It's so obvious what's going on here. And I get it, you know, you're emotionally attached to a fighter. He won all of those fights. He's the GOAT in your eyes, but you have to understand, he's now the duck. He is the duck, and he will be the duck forever. If Tom Aspinall loses a fight to someone who has got the balls to step in the cage with him, he'll be immediately on Twitter, say, I told you he wasn't that good. I've always been better than him.
And what is now going to happen in your career going forward in the heavyweight division, all right? What are your feelings towards him?
First of all, thanks for keeping it short, because I have said that I'm not going to speak about it anymore. My feelings towards him, I just wish him all the best. Genuinely wish him all the best. If he feels satisfied with what he's done, which he's saying he is, and he's happy to leave like that, then I genuinely wish him all the best.
Do you think that is it?
I don't know him. Don't know him at all. Met him once. Don't know anything about him, so I don't know.
Say it, it was short.
It was short and sweet, thank you.
No, but you can understand that has been quite a huge part of the narrative over the last
of course.
12 months, and a lot of fight fans will have their attitudes as to why that decision has been made and what have you. I kind of agree with you. At the end of the day, with the legacy that he's had and what he's done in the sport, he has the right to make a decision for himself. Personally, as a fight fan, I just wish that he'd done it a little bit earlier, so therefore we wouldn't have had that narrative over the last 12 months, because I can imagine it's been incredibly frustrating for you from a personal point of view and a professional point of view as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I feel like a broken record, keep banging on, but all I wanted to do was fight. I just wanted to fight. I've stopped
I've not been to work, mate, for nearly a year. I know people see me online and doing all the rest of it, but my main job is fighting people. That's what I do. I've not done that for almost a year, and none of it has had anything to do with me.
Right, perfect. This is where I want to go with, right? Because I think a lot of people have an understanding of you. I'd like to say that obviously we spent a bit of time, so I kind of like to get inside your head a little bit more and pick the little things that go on inside. How have you dealt with that? Because I remember speaking to you during the time that you were out injured with your knee. That was a tough challenge from a psychological point of view.
Yeah.
This is different because when you're out with your knee, it's on me now. I'm going to get fit and get my knee back and we're going to get rocking and rolling. The last 12 months hasn't been kind of on you. So how was that a different mental challenge?
And I can say this now that it's over, because the thing with me, when I'm in difficult situations, I try not to complain about it as much. This last year has been more difficult than the year I had out with the knee.
Which brings us to the present. Tom Aspinall is finally getting a chance to move forward, even if it's not yet for the unified title. This matchup with Ciryl Gane might mean just as much, if not more. Gane is a high-level striker with elite movement and experience. He's gone the distance with Francis Ngannou and fought for gold before. He belongs at the top, but Tom Aspinall is a different beast. He doesn't wait, he doesn't hesitate, he hunts openings with surgical precision and punishes every mistake in front of a fired-up crowd in Abu Dhabi. He's not planning to play it safe. This is a fighter on a mission to prove he's been the rightful king all along. The division is finally waking up. The drama is fading and Aspinall is walking into the biggest moment of his career, not with bitterness but with purpose and a fire that's impossible to ignore. October in Abu Dhabi, it's going to be war, and whether you believe Tom is the future or Gane is about to make another statement, one thing is certain: the wait is finally over.